And we made it. It is 7 p.m. Welcome, everyone, to Confidence Strategies 101. This is the back to basics, new way of doing things. Just wanted to mention that for those of you that didn't know, I will be flying solo from here on out, but probably maybe at some point having some guest hosts. We want to wish Mauricio Mejia all the best luck in his 3 new shows that he's doing. So he's going to be a little busy, and that's why we're going to go in this direction as he goes in his direction. But we wish him the best of luck. Mauricio, if you're anywhere near and watching, just know that we are really excited for all the great things that you're going to be doing on your own. So there are a few changes, everyone. We actually have a new sponsor. I can't forget that. We are being sponsored from here on out for however long that's going to be. We're being sponsored by Music City Hit Factory here in San Francisco. They're building a legacy for the San Francisco music scene, and we'll get to learn more about that as time goes on. But I want to get right to it. So basically the format is somewhat similar. It's just going to be me and the guest or guests and guest co-host. Hi, Veronica. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back. Yes, we are going to have a great time. It's a little bit looser, the format that I've decided and the direction that I've decided to go in, but the premise is still the same. The premise is about sharing stories, sharing information, sharing resources, and hopefully through this process we can inspire you, even if you are doing something totally different than music or if you're not an entrepreneur, but you are maybe stuck at a certain point in life and you hear somebody's story that inspires you to go on and fight for what you deserve. That's what this is all about. I still will, when people ask, connect me to resources and other coaches. And it's all about sharing. So I'm going to continue to be here on Tuesdays, and I hope you'll continue to tune in, whether it's live or on the replay. Okay, enough about that. That's all the housekeeping, because I don't want to waste another minute. Today's guest is someone super special, not only because he is an extraordinary world-class drummer who has toured the world like 89 countries, I think. We'll ask and confirm. But he is one of my dearest friends. He is a mentor and a coach. He is someone who I trust implicitly and someone who I share, the love of music and the love of great artists and artistry. So without further ado, I'm going to click on here and bring him out. I would like you all to just please, give him a warm welcome in the digital space that we're in. I'd like to introduce you all to Mr. Tony Coleman. Hi, TC.
Hey.
Tony TC Too Cool Coleman. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Welcome, TC. Welcome. They don't call you too cool for nothing, huh?
Oh, I'm not cool. I want to be cool. You're cool. I want to be cool.
Oh my gosh, TC, you are too funny. You're too kind. Welcome to the show, Tony. I know
Good to be here.
Thank you. I know that, we're taking up some of your time. And so I want to be mindful of, being able to share this experience with you and for you to share your story and kind of give the folks who tune in, on here live and on the watch parties and the replays, just a little bit about, your confidence and where does it stem from? And as a young man, as a young boy, who was that source of building you up so much that you believed that anything was possible for your life?
Well, hello, everybody. I don't care if we got 2 people on here. We're going to share everything we need to share. And Carmen's great. She's the best.
Thank you.
And it's pretty simple. For me, I didn't choose music. It chose me. As long as I can remember being alive, I always wanted to play. Anytime I hear music, it didn't matter what kind of music. If I heard any music and it had rhythm in it or drum beat, I'd be tapping on stuff. Excuse me. I'm like that right now, just doing that. I'm ready to play. I always had the vision that one day I was going to be a drummer. That's all I ever wanted to be. I don't know why it is. It just is. I didn't decide to be in the music business to become a star. Star backwards. It's too many stars. Star backwards is not what I wanted to be. And I just want to be happy. Playing music makes me happy. And normally I'm just a happy guy. I like to be silly and just be happy and
No.
just laugh. I like to laugh, but I'm also very passionate. And as much as I love and happiness and all of that, I really can get pretty irritated when people are being nasty and mean, and it makes me want to get them out of the way. Because the best motivation I've ever had to become successful in drumming was me, based on my grandmother who raised me, who, when I ran into a little crook in the road, little bump in the road, she made me realize that no, you don't have the right to allow anything to take your eye off the prize. Because I'll be 65 in August, and my culture, Black culture, I was raised during the civil rights movement. Sure. And when we couldn't drink out of the same water faucet, or we couldn't use the bathroom with white people and all of that. And it's something that I didn't understand it until I went to drink out of a water faucet that said colored water. And I thought the water was going to have like rainbow colors and everything.
Oh, how old were you?
I was probably four or five.
Oh.
And when I saw the colored water, I
right.
ran, and I was so excited.
Right.
And it would never change color. I thought it was going to be like grape Kool-Aid or something.
Right.
And I was really upset. And my grandmother said, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Where's the colored water?" And she's like, "Oh boy, I'll explain that to you."
Right.
But
the mind of a child and the heart of a child, right? Like, that's the innocence that we're all born with.
Yeah. So I was just a happy kid because my grandmother raised 4 of us. My mother died on my 9th birthday. And my dad had another family. And we were in Florida and he was in New York, but my grandmother raised us. And she did everything to make sure we were secure and happy, you know.
Right.
And then when I finally got older and realized that, I discovered that I was supposed to be treated different than other people. That's kind of when I had to become. My grandmother taught me to be a fighter, not to like physically fight, but to be a fighter.
To stand up for yourself.
To keep moving forward. Just let it be like problems. Duck, like water on a duck. I got to keep my eye on the prize.
Do you attribute that sense that she poured into you? Do you attribute that to the development of, because you're a very confident person, you know, where I ever since I met you, and I don't even remember how long ago that was, because I feel like I've known you all my life. But,
I know.
But there's something about, at least for me, I seem to have not just the kindest and greatest friends, both in the music world and outside the music world, but I've noticed that it is a theme amongst all the people that I care about, that there is this sense of self that's so deeply rooted in pretty much everyone that I know. And it's this sense of confidence. And usually, if, this is kind of my quest, is to try to figure out, where does that come from? Is it from Medea? Is that from where you think that is clearly you have to have the ability to believe in yourself, but it starts somewhere, don't you think?
Yeah, I think some of us, have it and others don't have it, but we all can get it. But we all have different personalities. That's what makes us all different.
Right.
Some of us are easygoing, quiet, observant, and others are outgoing and got a big mouth, But I was always very kind of shy about being around people. But I was confident in my drumming abilities, and I knew that's what I was going to do, and I knew I loved it, and it was in my soul. But my grandmother telling me, look, if you're going to do this, you got to commit to it. Don't let anything stop you from doing it. Now, if you're not serious, don't do it.
Right.
But my grandmother's attitude was like, if I tell you to clean the bathroom, I want to be able to eat off the floor.
Right.
I want to be able to, if I drop something on the floor, I want to be able to pick it up and eat it. It's so clean. You understand? So anything you do, you must commit, stay focused. You might get thrown off track, but get back on the track and keep going. Keep going. If you want to be successful, that's what it's going to take. No matter who likes you, who hates you, who don't want to see you, you got to love you. You got to love you. If you don't love you, who else is going to love you?
That's right. That's right. 100%. And I didn't even coach you on what to say. Speaking of coaching, we're going to fast forward a little bit, because now you're grown. You've been on the road for a while with none other than Mr. King, the great, illustrious B.B. King.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you consider him a mentor. He has impacted your life and influenced your life in many ways. But can you share with us maybe one or two stories, maybe a couple of impressions? Who knows? Like, what would you say that the one thing that he said to you that has just also been added to the tapestry of what your grandmother taught you? And maybe there's more than one thing.
Well, first of all, I have to explain that once I did meet Mr. King, I found out that my dad and he were good friends, because my dad was in show business. He was at the Apollo Theater introducing all of the Black artists to Harlem, to New York, from Otis Redding to Miss Ruth Brown, everybody in that generation of music, and Bobby Blue Bland. So between Mr. B.B. King and Bobby Blue Bland, they were both like my father, because they were tight friends with my dad, Mr. Bland more so than Mr. King. So BB was more like a step uncle to me, and Bobby Blue Bland was like a step dad.
Right.
See, BB would tell me what I don't want you to do. I don't like it when you do that. Whereas Bobby Blue Bland was, don't you think you could have done that a little different? So
two different styles, right? Two different mentoring styles.
Yeah. So being the young bull that I
I don't buy that for a minute.
Well, I was very rebellious against BB's style of directing me, because, like I said, it was like do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. Whereas Bobby Blue Bland was more like, no, I'm going to, if you pay attention, I'll tell you how to do it without having so much difficulties in your life. But BB was more of a person that I rejected being told what to do by him, because he was so adamant about, I want it done this way. And when you're a younger person, you don't really appreciate that. You don't appreciate people telling you when you're screwing up.
Right.
And if you have a personality like mine, so
I think I know where this is going.
so he fired me 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Uh-huh.
But he hired me 6.
There you go.
But he would tell me, Tony Coleman, now son, I know you don't like it when I'm on you, son, but one of these days when I'm dead and gone, you'll think about it and say, oh, B taught me that. You'll remember. You don't appreciate it now, but you'll remember and appreciate it. And damn it, he's right. And Bobby Blue Bland was, so I had 2 dads, but BB King is a lot more famous and well known overall than Bobby Blue Bland. But
right.
But they would tag team me. Like when BB, he didn't fire me because I wasn't doing my job. He was firing me because I would argue with him.
Uh-huh.
And then when that happened, he'd give me an option to handle. Either you could listen to me or you can go home, son, whichever one. All right, I'll see you. Bye. And then he'd call Bobby Blue Bland and say, I had to let him go, Blue. Yeah, I'll get him over here. So they tag team me back and forth. Right. So they both work me out. But I learned a lot because BB was very, how could I say, mild mannered in his character. Mm-hmm. He wasn't abrasive and loud. Mm-hmm. And he always wanted to make other people happy. Almost.
And he did.
Sorry?
And he did.
Yeah, his thing was, it was the same thing. When you're on stage, I need you to be 200% on stage, not somewhere else thinking about this, that, and the other. Think about what we're doing for the people.
Right.
It's about the people. We're here to make them happy. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about them. And Bobby Blue Bland was the same way, but BB was like really over the top about it. But he was very committed and focused. Everything that you have to be to become successful.
Right.
And do your best. It's about the people that paid to see you. It's not about you.
Right. And do you feel that, and maybe this is an unfair way to ask it, but do you feel that you are helping to continue his legacy? Because you spent 32 years with him, right? Am I right? Or did I mess that up?
Well, actually, I've been involved with him, technically speaking, for about 32 years, but I worked with him for probably more like 25 years.
Got it.
But I was in and out, and I was still on tour with him.
Right.
Even when I wasn't in the band, I was in the band. But
right.
BB's whole attitude was, once you're in the band, you're always in the band. And he would tell you, I'm sort of like the mafia, son. Once you're here, you're always here. So, so I spent the majority of my career with him. And I've been to 98 countries, and several of those countries I've done on my own as Tony Coleman with my band.
Right. Right. How did you separate, or were you able to separate because I know when you're a part of such an iconic group of musicians, but you also have the talent and desire to do your own thing. Was it hard sometimes to rein in what you wanted to do because you were, you had to be so focused for him, right? And the
Yes.
reason I'm asking it this way, TC, is because sometimes, like for example, as an entrepreneur, you got your day job, or even as an artist, as a musician, you've got your day job, which takes a lot out of you, which
Yeah.
requires a lot out of you, but you're dreaming over here. Your goal is really over there, but you have to have a foundation. You want to pay your rent and eat good food and all of that. So how did you temper the two things going on simultaneously when you saw yourself as a solo artist doing your own thing, but your commitment to him and your love for him, right? Like it
Oh, yeah.
kept you there. How was that? How did you find that balance? Because I think a lot of people would like to maybe hear about some of the strategies that you were doing to help you with that. That's a real thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I always took the job serious, whoever it was, whether it was BB King, ZZ King, CC, whoever, Bobby Blue Bland, whatever, Herbert King. Anytime I'm on the gig, I take it very serious. But there was times when it was like, man, I'm ready to do my own thing. I'm sick of being up here, being in the background, just not doing me. And I had a lot of issues with it. That's why I had to leave 5 times. But there comes a time when you have to know when to hold them, know when to fold.
You were gonna go there.
You have to know when to shut up and
Right.
prepare yourself, because when you think you're ready, a lot of times you're not ready. And you can be overzealous sometimes and ambitious, because it's a thin line. It was a thin line with I was always assertive, ambitious, and ready to go and confident. But a lot of times, if you really confident and ready to go and ambitious, people think you're being an a-hole.
Right.
And you have to learn how to say, well, okay, I'll pull it back until I'm really ready to do me.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, you got to stay focused.
Right.
I was networking before they called it networking. I was throwing my net out.
You are a master. You are like the mayor of wherever we've been, at NAM or backstage somewhere. You're like the mayor.
Well, because for one thing, everybody that I see, I admire. I'm excited. I'm excited to be
Right.
involved with music, and I see people who I grew up listening to, and
Right.
if I have an opportunity, I'm going to walk up to them and say, "Hey, man, how you doing? I'm Tony Coleman. I'm TC. I'm BB's drummer." And a lot of times it'd be like, "Oh, really, man? Oh, yeah, cool, man." And other times it'd be like, "So, excuse me," and those people, it's like,
Mm.
screw that. I'm still
Yeah.
the
I was
TC.
gonna, you
You're
know
not
what
going
I
to
was
stop.
thinking.
You're not going to stop me from being who I am just because you want to be, a knucklehead like that.
Right.
I'll just write you down as somebody to give me even more power to go out and be successful. I don't take it like, wow, man, why would you allow someone to be rude to you? And I'd be like, doesn't matter. I know who I am. And
Ex-
and that's one thing about BB and Bobby Blue Bland. Those guys were very, very humble. But whereas I'm a go-getter. Nobody's gonna stop me. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river
Wait, I
wide
want you to
enough.
do that an octave higher.
But but so because I love who I am, music, I love it. It's my life, and I'm still excited about it. I don't care if I'm a rich multimillionaire or whatever, it doesn't matter. I love who I am to play the music to make people happy. And when I was growing up, we always fellowship amongst ourselves. If I saw anybody, because we're all the same. If I saw anybody, I don't care who it was that said they were a musician, I try to inspire them. Hey man, you can do it. That's why I could go sit in after the concerts in any bar in the world and be comfortable, you know?
Right.
So,
Well, this was like the perfect segue. I don't even think I should be here. I think you could just do the interview all by yourself.
no,
No, because no. This is perfect because the next part of the conversation that I wanted to have with you is, I know that you do drum clinics. I know that you're a drum instructor and a drum coach, and you do the videos like Drumeo, I think it is. You've got some amazing. If for all of you that are watching, if you want to learn about the blues, if you want to learn about drumming, good promo. If you want to just like really dive into this man right here is going to, well, like you're listening, he is going to tell you like it is, and he talks about the history and the culture of the blues, and it's something that you and I have talked about, TC, and that our young people are losing so much of our different facets of our culture, and the saddest part to me is that a lot of it's related to the different styles of music that are part of all of us because we're such a huge melting pot. But, the digital era and so many other factors, that some of this history is never going to, if someone doesn't pick up the torch and carry it, it is going to be lost. And I know that is one of your passion points as well. We did a show in February where we were putting together this history of the blues and the stories. And, you're the star of this show. You're the person that has had this lifelong experience playing the blues and playing with all these great artists. When you're working with young people, how do you inspire them or mentor them to learn to love this cultural aspect of the blues and other music?
I piss them off.
Okay, I'm not shocked by that, but this is the first time that I've heard this, so please continue.
Because I strip them of all the nonsense that they carry with trying to be successful in doing something. First of all, I have to teach them the way BB and Bobby Bland and Albert King and everybody in my culture, we pass the torch to you, but not until you can hold the torch. Because if you're not ready for the torch, you're going to drop it and burn a house down. So when you're ready, strong enough to hold that torch up high, and I know you're ready now and you got it, then I can knight you. I can hand the torch to you. I know you're going to hold it bright and strong and you're ready because I approve of your message and you listen. And the rejection that you give when people are trying to teach you something, the rejection you give to those people, myself, and like I did BB,
right?
It's ridiculous because you're not really going to learn anything until you shut up, keep your eyes open and your ears open and pay attention. Because if you really want to do it, before you can do this, you got to have somebody who does it to tell you pass the test like anything else. You can't just get in an airplane and just start flying. You got to start from the bottom up. And I always try to tell people that no matter what kind of music it is, everybody's music has a formula to do it the right way. And you have to accept that. You can't force it to be like you want to do it until you know how to do it the way, the basic formula, and you got that down. Then you can add yourself into it and make it yours. But you have to graduate just like anything else. And I just be honest and open. I'm brutally honest. If someone's playing and they sound bad, I'm not gonna waste my time and their time by saying, "Oh, you'll be all right." I go, "That's terrible." Nope. You got to pay attention. You got to do it like I tell you.
Right.
I'm an expert because when you're young and you want to do something, even when you're old. I mean,
right. I was just thinking the same thing.
You still got to listen sometimes. You can't just think, you can't tell me anything. You can always learn something from anybody.
Right.
Even if it's something, it's something not to do. Yeah.
Right. But if you're listening and paying attention. And we all know some people like that. We all know people that think that they don't need a coach or a mentor, that they don't need to listen to someone else. And I'm not talking about just young kids.
No.
And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But what are you going to do?
And music, like when I love doing the video to teach what I know and what I do and how I do it, because I've been successful at it, and I'm a piece of the root. I'm a piece of the root. I'm not the fruit. I'm the root of what I do, my culture. And I love to share it with people if they want to shut up and listen, because until you do that, you're not going to learn anything. Just tell you a quick story. Buddy Rich. I met Buddy Rich the first time I met Buddy Rich. Right. We were in New York City, and I saw his tour bus. Oh yeah, by the way, I knock on anybody's tour bus. I don't give a damn who you are. I'm gonna find out who's in there.
Yes, I have witnessed this.
I see a tour bus. I'm like, oh, who is this? Hey man, who you got? And you might get an arrogant bus driver. What? What? Hey, what can I do for you? Who are you rolling with? Who's in there? Nobody you need to know about. Clam. I'll sit them out, stalk them. But I mean, you got to be able to meet people. But I've met people in all different genres of music because I'm interested. I want to be able to play country, reggae, jazz, blues, funk, soul, pop, rap, reggae, everything, opera, all music. I want to be able to be involved. You got to open your head up and your mind up. You can't be stuck on what you like. And you have to learn to like things that you think you'll never play. Because you never know. You could be sitting in the wings. I could be sitting outside and hear a manager say, oh, man, yeah, the drummer he had to go home. Emergency. We're trying to figure out who we're going to get. I'm working on hey, man, I'm a drummer. I play with B.B. King. You play with B.B. King? Oh, snap. Man, you wouldn't believe B.B. King's drummer's right here. Tony Coleman. Yeah, he's going to do the gig. You have to be able to feel comfortable putting yourself out there, Right. And that's how, but if you're going to learn anybody's music, study it, watch, listen, you're going to learn something. Pay attention. That's what I'm all about, man. I'm going to, if I got a reggae gig, I'm going to go to reggae clubs, go eat West Indian food. If I got a gig playing Mexican music, I'm going to go hang out with some Mexican people who do that. I'm going to who does it for a lifetime, whatever, country music. I'm going to go hang out with those folks. I'm going to find out what it's all about. If it's jazz, I'll go hang out with the jazz crowd, figure it all out. You always got to be open and ready to learn, and don't be afraid to do it.
I love that because it applies to everything in life. It applies to entrepreneurship. It applies to starting a business. It applies to everything. I just got a message here, TC. For some reason, there's some technical, it looks fine on my screen here, but for some reason, I'm being told that there's a repeat thing that's happening on the live. So I'm so sorry, everyone. I apologize, but I don't even see it on my end. Hopefully on the final recording, it'll all be okay. But hopefully you'll stay with us. It is 7 p.m. Welcome everyone to Confidence.
I'm looking at you on the phone, looking at us.
It's live. Like, this is what happens. This is real life. And one of these days, I will have a producer who will be able to fix all that. But for now, we're just going to keep going. I love what you were saying, TC, because the fact of keeping your mind open, and I would add to that, keeping your heart open to
Oh
anything that you
yeah.
want to achieve. It's about learning everything. It's to me, I have always been that type of manager or business owner that I know about every aspect of everything. I'm not saying I'm good at it, all of it, but I learn. Like, I need to know how this works and how it impacts all the other things that I'm doing. And if I have to learn how to assemble a chair because we're setting up a new office, then that's what I'm going to do. And I think that that really applies to both worlds, both the artist world and the entrepreneur world. And it's my opinion, but I feel like there are so many musicians that are actually entrepreneurs and they don't even know it,
I agree. First of all, the most successful people are the people that don't give a damn. They don't care. They just being themselves. When you run into people who aren't really happy, they don't want to talk to anybody. They get very moody. I need my space. Like, hey man, can you give me a break? See, when I was with BB King and people like that, and Willie Nelson, and when you're around people like that, they're just cool. They have their moments where they don't want to speak, but they're never rude to anybody. They're always cool to everybody, and they're because that's who they are. But if you're trying to be something and you start believing the hype, you start thinking, "Hey, I'm important. I'm better than those people." Successful people can talk to anybody and be with anybody and be comfortable. I can do that. I've done it. I do it. I can go anywhere and hang out with people who don't even like me, but I like me.
There you go.
You don't like me, but I love me. So eventually they'll be like, "Hey, what's that guy doing here?" And I'll be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Eventually, the real person will come out because we're all born good. We have to learn to be a-holes.
Right.
We're all born good. I never seen a bunch of little babies in the baby beds. I can't stand that little black baby. I can't stand that little Japanese baby. When you let the world tarnish your soul, that's when you become a bad seed for the world. But I'm trying to plant love and happiness for real around the world by being cool with everybody. But I'm respectful, but I will not take any respect either. I have a bad thing about that. But
when someone disrespects you, you mean?
Yes,
yeah, of course.
I don't tolerate it. I cut it off at the path, at the root.
Right.
You have to respect people. You don't have, I personally think the word love is overused. Love you.
How so?
Well, I think the main word that should be used is I respect you. I respect you. I mean, when I first meet you, whether I like you, whether I know you, nothing about you, I got to respect you first. I got to respect you. Hey, how you doing? I can't be like, who the hell is this? Who is that? Oh, that's Tony Coleman, BB King's from. Oh, really? Hey, man, can I get some passes or something? No.
Right.
I respect you before I even know you. Like, hey, what's going on? I don't even know you, but I respect you.
Right.
Now, if you show me that you don't deserve my respect, then that's when I'm out. I tap out.
Done.
But I love you. Well, a lot of people love people, but they still hate them. I don't
Well, yeah. And that's another great topic, of course, in our day and age right now. When you have this type of self-confidence, it's so evident in you, but I mean, and I know that it's based out of love for other people, it's based love for yourself, but there have to be those moments where it's such a burden with all the hatred. And How do you reclaim your confidence and your happiness in the midst of all these things that, I mean, how do you, is there something that you do? Is there a ritual? Is there something that you do that helps you reclaim? Because we all have these moments, at least I think we all do. I just feel beaten sometimes. And I know it's not that I'm tired. It's not work. It's not the workload. It's just the energy that, you know, sometimes I let it in. It gets to me. And then my heart is exhausted. My soul and my spirit are beaten. And sometimes it's hard. You know, I'm just being honest. Sometimes it's hard to get back to where I want to be and where I tend to reside. What are some of the things that you do for you to reclaim that?
Well, I just go get the biggest baseball bat and beat the hell out of somebody.
You do not. You do not.
No, actually, it is tiring when you have to deal with bad stuff. But I look at it like this. It's very frustrating, and it makes me really upset. But it doesn't make me want to, the person that's doing me bad, I don't want them to hurt. I want them to stop doing me bad.
Right.
But I want them to understand that you cannot do that. So it takes a lot of strength to stand up and defend yourself when you know you're being disrespected, because believe me, whoever's doing bad things, they know they're doing it. Everybody's not crazy.
Right.
A lot of people are just saying, you know, I'm going to be an a-hole whether you like it or not. And most people, because you're tired of dealing with that, you're like, whatever, I can't deal with that. I'm just done.
Right.
Give me a drink. No, my thing is, well, y'all go have a drink. I'm gonna get that person off by themselves. I'll be like, hey, come here a second. It's just me and you in here. I'm telling you right now, I don't tolerate that. If you're gonna treat me like that, you're gonna have a problem with me. I'm just telling you, you gotta stop it. If you don't, it's gonna be a problem. So I'm just teaching y'all, you know, you can go and smoke a joint and say, oh, I'm cool, or go drink a beer or drink or whatever, or go box or go exercise or go eat a sandwich. But me, I'm going to deal with it head on. And I believe when people, you might not be able to change people from being jerks, but you let them know this is a no jerk zone right here. So no a-hole zone in this spot. Now, if you want to do that over there, but I'm telling you right now, over here, it's a no fly jerk zone over here. And if enough people let a-holes know that, then they'll realize, like, wow, everywhere I go, I'm not being allowed to be this.
Yeah.
I guess I better pull it back a little bit, because I can't go anywhere because nobody's tolerating it.
Right. Hey, do you hear knocking, TC? I think there's someone at the door.
Knocking?
Oh wait, no, look. Someone's joining us today. No. Look, TC.
TC.
Look who he is. Will Calhoun, you are in the dark, my friend.
Who is that?
I know. I'm sorry.
Who is that?
I got caught out.
What is happening?
Hang on a second. Hang on. I don't want y'all to get taken off the air for any indecent exposure. Hang on a second.
Aye. This is gonna go. I don't know where this is going now.
See, that's WC.
I don't want to get y'all in trouble. Hang on.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
TC, it's a reunion. Two of the best people in my life. Thank you so much.
You tricked me. I didn't know he was sneaking on here.
Hey, man, what's going on, man?
Hey, I'm trying to grow mine out, buddy.
Hey, I'm about ready. This is my no gig look.
Hey, Carmen,
Yes.
I gotta shut up now
Why?
because he's gonna get me if I keep talking.
Oh, no. This is all going to be all fun.
Tony, man, how you doing, man? Nice to see you.
I'm good, man. I love you, man.
Love you too, brother. It's good to.
Let me tell you something.
Let
me tell you something about this guy, and I'm gonna be quiet and let him talk. This guy right here is a phenomenal human being. Oh, forget his drumming. We know he's great. That part, that's easy. But dude came to see me in New York, took me to the best place to get some good chicken, some healthy, spicy. Where was that place?
That's a West African joint. That was a nice joint.
It was like I felt my roots. I wanted to pull out some conga drums and start.
And where was I?
Yeah,
Wait,
Carmen.
This happened without me?
Everything in there, the fish, the chicken. I said, I gotta take Tony. And the lady fell in love with him.
Well, what's not to love?
The lady fell. She liked that long, slow. She's from Senegal, but she's talking to these New York guys to talking fast. Tony went in there with his, wow, this tastes good.
It was.
And the lady was like, wow, who's your friend? He talks different. I said, yeah, he's not from New York. That's why.
See, that's why,
man. I took him to a Senegalese place, and the food was. For me, it's religion. I told that lady in that restaurant if I could just send her the money, and
it was
she could
so
just
good.
cook the food for me, man. I'll pay for it, no problem.
Okay, my mouth is watering.
I'm telling you, is it still there?
I want to say something, Tony. It's your interview. I gotta say, there's a good brother there, Tony, and I want to take him to the best when he comes to town. I want to take him to the best place so he can get the best food, have the best hang. And it was great that you were able to come and hang and do that anytime. So
yeah, man.
Love goes out, brother. And I had to crash your interview. Very sorry. It's Carmen's fault.
No. You can crash us anytime.
I'm gonna blame Carmen. She always gives me a good excuse to crash. So
she tricked me. She was like, "You hear any knocking?" I was like, "What? What are you talking
about?" Man, I'm in my room and I'm like, yeah, I got to get on there. And I'm like, because it's hot in New York. It's like 100 degrees.
Oh, man.
I'm not an AC guy. I like, the Freon's a little funny after a while. So I have my fan on, just chilling.
Right.
But then I was really chilling, and I'm like, I can't be getting on this internet with no shirt on. Black man with no shirt on. 10:30 at night, they might call Carmen. They might knock on Carmen's door.
Carmen would be like, I'll handle it.
They're going to shut the whole network down. I'm like, I don't want to get Carmen. Yeah. I said, let me not get Carmen. And it just hit me. I said, yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. You got to put a shirt on, dude. Come on.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
So sorry.
I'm so happy to see you, man. Hey, Carmen, you really a mess. You didn't even tell me.
I know. It was so hard.
I love you, man. How's everybody in New York?
Everybody's good, hot, bothered, pissed off, celebrating, happy, confused, and creative.
Yeah. Hey, do you remember in New York when the hotel where Duke Ellington band and everybody stayed called Hotel Edison?
Yes.
Yeah. That's where I met Buddy Rich. The first time I met Buddy Rich was there.
I'm afraid to ask you how that went.
Oh, it was cool. But then later on down the road, I would run into him all the time. And we were in Orlando, Florida, staying at the Hartley Hotel. You remember that hotel, that lady named she left the hotel to her dog or something?
Oh, yeah. Hemsley,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Leona?
Yeah, that was her hotels, the Hartley hotels. Anyway, right across the street was the festival. So I got my packet and I saw Buddy Rich is on stage. So I took off to go across the street. He was just getting off stage. So I go on the bus wheel and he's sweating. He's sitting on the bus by himself, got a towel around his neck, sweating. Just came off stage in Florida about 3:00 in the afternoon. How's it going? He talked to his teeth.
Yeah.
I said, man, I'm really getting tired of BB, man. What do you mean you're getting tired of BB? What are you talking about? What's wrong? Man, he's always on me. Play faster, play slower, play quiet, play loud. Getting on my nerves. He said, let me ask you a question. Whose name's on the ticket?
Oh,
I said,
oh,
what? He said,
ouch.
whose name's on the ticket? I said, BB's name. That's right. BB's name, not yours. You keep your effing mouth shut. If you don't like what BB's telling you, get your ass out. You understand? You don't run anything. So anyway, he got on my ass real good.
Wow.
And then he goes, so how's it going? How you doing?
Well, in all reality, those guys came up in a different generation, and the way things were run, the business, and band leaders, and all of those kind of things, it was kind of like a different vibe. But I want to thank you for a lot of things. But one thing I want to thank you for, when you guys played in Oakland and I was there, and I went to that show and I waited outside because I wanted to get on BB's bus. And you guys allowed me to go on the bus. And he was fascinated that he had a hard drive on the bus with all of the recordings. Somebody had put together, Carmen, every recording he ever made on a drive. And he took me in the back of the bus and he was rifling through the album covers, would show up on the screen. And he was like, man, I don't even remember that, man. And he also, there was a young man in there before me, right? You might remember that. He was about 12 or 14. It was his parents. He was a young trumpet player, promising young trumpet player in Oakland. And his parents were with them and they wanted to meet BB. And he said, son, what you doing? He said, well, I'm trying to work. I'm studying and I want to get myself a horn someday. And right before he left, BB took some money out. And he said, there's your deposit. I mean, the kid freaked out. The parents freaked out. I freaked out.
Oh my God.
He said some heavy things to me that night about.
And you guys recorded together. He loved working with you guys.
Vernon produced also on the box set. We did a couple songs, 1 or 2 songs made the box set, and it was a beautiful experience. But man, he was one of those guys that would say very incredibly powerful things to you. Calmly to your face, but it sounded like he was saying maybe what time is it, but the content was like a rhinoceros,
right,
like it was so heavy. We're talking about that concert that night and about music and the blues and things. And man, I left there a different person when I got off that bus in terms of the history of music and the respect. I left that bus a different, and I had to thank you for that, man. Because I would have just really said, hi, BB, nice show. But he's like, no, sit down, son, sit down. Let me show you something. Let me show you.
Well, see, I knew he was going to get you. See, BB's not like that. If you introduce yourself to BB, I don't care who you are. He's going to engage you like, so where are you from? Oh, I've been there before. Yeah. What do you do? I've done that. I used to fly planes. I'm a pilot. People don't know BB was a pilot. Wow. And BB was into computers. He could tell you anything about software. He knew everything about computers.
Wow.
Yeah, he would go to Las Vegas to the electronics show, and
CES.
And if you ever go to duty free with BB when we travel overseas, he buy 2 of everything. And if you're with him, man, he'll be like, all right, Will, get one of those. Will, you ever had that? Put that in your bag, son. Get that. Oh, get here. Will, this is good. Here, listen to this music. Here's Count Basie. Here, you be leaving with all kinds of stuff. You'd be like, dang, man.
Man, I love the story you told me about BB and R. Blakey.
Oh, yeah. So Carmen.
I don't know this one.
So we get to Spain. It's Miles Davis, BB King, Art Blakey, and Miles got all his gear, his band, they got everything. And Art got all his gear, and BB, we got backline, but they didn't get me a drum kit because they assumed that the company I played, Art played Pearl drums, and I was a Pearl drum artist, and I didn't have a drum kit. So Art Blakey said, he can play my drums. I was like, what? So I get on the drum kit.
Right.
And the first thing you do, Will, what's the first thing you do when you hit the snare,
Get that key out. Get that key out. Start tuning.
So I hit his snare, and then I'm doing this, and then his drum tech goes, "What are you doing?" I say, "Oh, nothing." He said, "Don't do that. Just play them." So anyway, so Art had his kick drum. Usually for us, I got the hole in the kick drum so it can sound like a thump. Boom, 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 boom. You know, but Art has the front head on his drum so it can sound melodic, like a boom, 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 boom. Because when you swing and you only use the kick drum to just accentuate the downbeats. Boom, 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 boom. But BB got a song now. I got to play a double kick. Boom, 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 and it's going boing, 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 boing. And it's just ringing like it's ringing like a big old tub. Boing, 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 boing. Then after the show, he said, "Baby, want to see you, Coleman." Then we were in a tent, and he was on the other side of the canvas in his dressing area. And BB goes, "Damn, son, what the hell was that drum you played? It sounded terrible, son. You're like, drive me crazy out there. Couldn't you do something about it?" Then I heard a voice, "Those are my drums. What are you talking about?" And then Art came in and said, "What are you giving him hell about? You should have had some drums for him. You got your own guitar, don't you?" "Well, why don't you let him have his own drum kit? That was my kit." "Oh, thank you, Art. I'm sorry." I'm sorry. And I was looking at BB like this, like, and he was looking at me like,
what?
Oh my goodness.
That story, when he told me that, it killed me because I've been there before where you do something with something or somebody and they're like,
yeah.
And they're still smiling at you, but they're really looking at you like, don't touch that.
Don't touch.
Yeah. So I love that story. And Art was such an endearing, endearing gentleman and a great musician. As you saw now, I guess they always seem to be finding somebody's recordings. There's a bunch of new things that have recently come out on Art Blakey, so I'm going to be excited because I'm a fan.
Yeah,
there's some new recordings, but
Nice.
I love the cats. It's great.
We were talking earlier before you joined us, Will, about that concept of you're a part of this iconic group, part of this iconic band or company, whatever that situation is, but you have your own dreams and your own goals and you want to do your own thing. And I asked TC, how did he sort of balance that drive to do his own thing, but that commitment and love for that? I'd love to ask, I've never asked you this question, Will, so might as well take advantage of you being here. Like doing your own thing, right, is something so special and unique because it is you, but you're part of another iconic band. And for those of you that don't know, you should know by now because he was on a previous show 2 weeks ago.
Thank you very much, Carmen.
But you're a part of Living Color, and so how do you does it tear you apart a little bit?
Actually, it doesn't. I like to answer that question in two ways. Living Color broke up, as both you guys know, for about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And I went through a period right after the band breaking up that I thought, what did I want to say? Because it happened abruptly. And I immediately called up my colleagues, very famous ones, to ask them, I'm getting called for certain tours, auditions for big rock tours and big pop tours. What is it like? And is this something that honestly, I was confused and pissed off and all those emotions, in the same glass.
Yeah. And
they said, well, you can do it, man. But you have to know that when so-and-so calls you, that what Buddy Rich said, that's the person you're working for. So you can do it with no problem. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
And if you want to do it, you have to understand the responsibility of what it means to work with somebody, because your individualism may not be needed at all for that person's music. They may just want you to do something they like. They may like you and say, "Will, give me your flavor." And you may have options between the two things, But what is it like for me being in Living Color? that breakup gave me another type of confidence, another type of assurance, another type of research antenna of me wanting to find out who Will Calhoun was. And that
Right.
was the beginnings of me really spending a lot of time in West Africa, North Africa, and South America, and restudying all of these rhythms, studying with all of these drummers and these
Yeah.
master musicians, because I wanted to know what those beats I was playing, where they were coming from. So I used that 6 or 7 year period as like a research PhD period.
Right.
The second half of the way I answer the question is, how do I do it? Really is honestly is the answer. And the advantage of doing it is I feel when I come back to Live in Color, I have something fresh to bring to the table from playing with some Umu Sangari or Wayne Shorter or at that time Mos Def or Harry Belafonte, whoever it is, Nona Hendrix. All of those fantastic artists all give me something to put into my palette. And then when it's time for me to come in and do something, I can just do it and have more things to pull from. I can just say, okay, now I want to do this. Now I want to do that. And oh, I'm hearing this groove.
Right.
And oh, I can put this Uruguayan thing on it now
Sure.
because that sounds cool. Or maybe this is from Pernambuco in Brazil. I want to put some of that stuff on there. Or I want to change the cascara pattern on the cowbell or whatever we're doing. So
Yeah.
and those things allow me to have. I'm in Living Color, but I enjoy it to come back to the table because I know the guys. We know each other really well, and the music is recorded a certain way. But I just feel like I have more information that I can offer the music.
I got a
Right.
question for you, Will. First of all, I love what you guys did and do. Live in Color was like you made us black musicians happy that you guys finally got recognized for playing rock, and it was like people don't realize that rock and roll comes from the blues. A lot of people don't get it, and you know, rock and roll is something that was just R&B called rock and roll by the white disc jockeys because they say you're going to rock and roll, But was it really exciting to know that you finally got a chance to be able to get out there with the rock and rollers because there wasn't any black rock bands being acknowledged, man. And we were rooting for you, we were so happy for you guys, And could you just tell me a little since we're acknowledging Black Stuff Matters now, do you feel like racism had a lot to do with you not being as big as you guys could have been?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it it to try not to get too off on a tangent. When people talk about white supremacy, people like to think white supremacy is the Klan or
Right.
skinheads or senators or or rednecks people or whatever you want to say or president whoever you feel like is on that side. It's not that. White
No, it's a
supremacy
lot. It's a lot.
is white supremacy is like oxygen in America to me, in other countries as well. But white supremacy also stops people from getting educated in certain schools. It stops some people from having to be able to have a baby in a hospital they want to have the baby in. Families from moving into the neighborhood they want to move into. Your child goes to certain kind of school where you can shop, where you can play music, where you can audition. How many of you can audition? uh, 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 who's driving the bus and who's a passenger on the bus? Where you sit. It's so ingrained in so many things that the answer to your question is yes. But the
Because
reality of the reality of it is you. I have to say, our coat was pulled by a few really beautiful people in this industry. Tito Puente, Mavis
love Tito.
Staples.
Tito made his
Yeah,
own timbali sticks. He gave me a pair of them.
yeah. I mean, we shared the same dressing room at the Grammys. When we had those big rooms you can hang out in.
Yeah.
Tito was with us, so I grew up on his music. So for me, it was like I was in heaven talking to him and both being drummers.
And
But
Celia Cruz, Miss
Mavis,
Celia Cruz.
yeah, Mavis Staples.
Yeah. But back to
sat us down.
but back to the question about being a black rock band. It's like all black bands were rock bands back in the day. It's like why is this such a big deal? We used to be tripping, you know, over here in the blues world. We'd be like, and BB knew it. BB said, I'm glad to see those black guys playing our music and getting acknowledged. It's good. They play good. They play as good as anybody else. And I'm glad to see it. You know, BB would never be really vocal about it because he didn't want to stir up anything. But then he had a drummer in his band who was like, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud.
I don't know what you're talking about.
but Living Color, Living Color, man. But Living Color, it was so good and refreshing to see you guys getting acknowledged for what you were doing, because it was just a good period, you know. And
thank you, man. Thank you.
And I mean, and there was another black band that was considered a rock band at the time, Mother's Finest. You remember?
Mother's Finest were they were around longer than we have. They left America. They went to Germany, and they were killer band. And you know, we had the Bad Brains before us. Fishbone was out when we were out. You know, there were different bands happening around Dan Reed Network. There were different things happening around that time. But just the point of being able to have a chat with a BB or Mavis Staples or Mr. Al Hendricks, Jimi Hendrix's dad, Tina Turner, Little Richard, who was on our second album, Time's Up, and raps on Elvis is Dead. And when we played Elvis is Dead on Arsenio Hall show, he showed up and came out. And when these people sit you down and pull your coat to the history of this music and what it really means, it gave us just, I have to say, a lot more gas and confidence into being able to go out there and definitely do it. I personally, Tony, never liked the term Black Rock. I know I was in Living Color. I know Vernon started the Black Rock Coalition, and I know why Vernon Reed and his colleagues started it. I never liked that term. And
I don't either. I don't either. Because you were a rock band.
My comment, yeah.
You were a rock band that happened to be some black guys.
Well, I looked at it this way. When Rolling Stone asked me about it, I said, when you call, you know, Van Halen and Journey and Kansas and those bands, white rock bands, I'll accept that title.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be called a black rock band because it's like having black gospel or Latin R&B.
That's why I would get pissed off when people say our first black president, like he's the first black president. He was the president.
Yeah.
He's the president.
And he wasn't the first, but that's another
show.
Yeah,
but I'm simply saying I had a cousin who was an engineer at Lockheed Martin, and he got an award, the best black engineer. And I would tell him, why couldn't you just be the best engineer? Why you had to be the best black engineer? It's like your engineering different because you black, you know.
It's so interesting because I think individually or together, or I don't know if the three of us have had, I know we've had incredible conversations, but I know, Will, recently you and I were talking about the whole Latin Grammys and my perspective.
Right. Yeah.
Like what I just, you know, and actually being, you know, attacked on Facebook for stating my position that I didn't think that was the right thing to do. That why couldn't you just be?
I'm sorry. Hang on. The right thing to do was to attack the Latin Grammys.
No. In my opinion, to separate from the Grammys, you know, to be a whole separate entity. I still don't agree with that, and the reason for that is because if you are going to self-segregate, then you're beating other people to the punch of trying to segregate you. That's my opinion. I just always felt like artists are artists and music is music, and whatever that process is, which we know is also a skewed process. Let's be real. But I just felt like at that time when they were considering keeping the Grammys and then creating the Latin Grammys, I was one of the few Latino artists that didn't agree with that move. And I was verbally, you know, attacked on social media for that. And of course, it was a white woman who played Brazilian music. And I had no words.
See, I think it should be, and the best song of the year could be like the best song of the year if it's a country song, or reggae song, a funk song, or rock song. the best song of the year is, it so happened to be a country song.
Right.
Because, you know, just because I'm Black, don't listen to just Black music. I listen to good music. But it's good to say for a flavor, that flavor is there, but it shouldn't be, that flavor should be over there doing its own thing. No, this flavor should be in with everybody else equally. Equally. That's the way I
like
see
that.
it.
I like that.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, the whole idea of music is to bring people together, right? So I'm opposed to labels to begin with. They really bother me. And so the idea of music is supposed to bring people together, then why self-segregate?
Well, actually, I think Nashville is like some of the dumbest music people in the world, because I mean, like, it's Black folks like country music. It's Black hillbillies. It's Black people in them there hills. You know, why don't you see, like, when I was growing up down in Kissimmee, Florida, there was one radio station called WFID.
Wow, Kissimmee.
Yeah.
I know that town. Wow.
Yeah. And it was one radio station that would play country music, but it would also play soul music, rock music, gospel music. It was just all good music. And my heart didn't say, well, you're going to only like the Black music. I'll say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud. I also like, you know, all the leaves are brown, the leaves are brown, and the sky is gray. Sky. I like white stuff too.
But I want to politically comment on that, because
please do.
If you think about when you were growing up and you were hearing those songs, what the society was like. So the art always dictates life.
Right, of course.
At that time, you had people that were more homogenized into a lifestyle of liking things and not liking things. And once you started to have classic radio and rock radio and blues radio and R&B radio, you divide the lines. Now, all three of us know on this line now, the more you divide the scene, the more money you're going to make. At the end of the day, that's the reason for it. But as artists, you know, we do have the notion to be able to want to, you know, share real estate with the ideas. Just because the format is that way doesn't have to mean that we have to be that way, because it all gets down to marketing, advertising, and who pays for what. But when you talk about me too, you know, growing up and hearing Sly, and then hearing Stevie Wonder, and then hearing the Beatles, and then, you know, maybe hearing Abby Lincoln could come on after that. Anything could happen at any time.
Yeah.
It gave, I felt like, the psychic a wider view about life, because you heard songs, folk songs, and then you heard, you know, a political song, and then you heard a Sex Machine kind of song, you know, and then you heard Nat King Cole. So there were all of these things, and I think it made our psychic different than now, in that we were more open-minded to just general things in life, because our sounds, what was going on in our head and coming out of our radios, was well-rounded. It wasn't quote unquote segregated. It was just kind of a roundabout thing. So when you went out in the world, and I'm sure all of our parents probably cut from the same cloth, where we were exposed to classical. I had to go to the Metropolitan Opera, and then, you know, I also went to see the Jackson 5 at Radio City, you know, and all of these, you know, there were all of these variations of the piece. But I think, you know, Tony, that was a time when you were coming up where the minds were more open because the sounds were more open. And I think now the minds are more closed because the sounds are more closed.
Right. And I'm going to add one other component to this, because yes, I was born here in the US. I'm first generation, but I didn't listen to any music other than the Spanish sounds, the Latin sounds. I didn't even speak English. So my whole, you know, I think I've shared with both of you, like, my experience with music is very much parallel to how I live my life. Like, yes, I know who I am. I know where my roots are and how I'm centered. But my mind as a child, the first time that I heard the Beatles, the first time that I heard Al Di Meola, I was 14. The first time that I went to the opera, I was 14. 14 was the most magical, just incredible year for me, because I went to see my first musical. My first opera was Carmen. So there's a little irony there.
I wonder how that happened.
It was an incredible teacher. She was my music teacher, and she convinced my parents, who were very strict, very Latino. You didn't really go away. You didn't send your child in someone else's care.
Yeah,
but
right.
So amazing, and she convinced my parents to let me go. So I was able to see my first opera. She took me to see the first musical that I ever saw was The King and I with Yul Brynner.
Wow.
Playing the lead. And then the second musical that I got to see was Evita with Patti LuPone. That was,
great.
And then I discovered Foghat and Boston and Stevie Nicks. I was just my mind was blown. And so for me, that is who I am. That's how I walk through the world, with all of it, embracing all of it. Now, there are some things that I don't really listen to because it's hard on my ears.
Yeah, well, some stuff is an acquired taste.
Yeah, so I mean, there's some like string instruments that are not. They just hurt my ears. So I don't listen to that as often. But it doesn't mean that I'm not open to trying it again or listening to someone else's version. But I think for me, music has been such a part of my tapestry of who I am as a human being, as an auntie, as an entrepreneur, and as a singer. I think we're really lucky. I think artists are really lucky. We're so lucky in that we get these experiences through sound, through music. And
my next record is going to be country, Native American, Indian, Native Indian, African, Japanese, Italiano, German, opera funk, like rock.
I love it.
It's gonna say, what do you call that? Tony's music.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I like all of that stuff,
And why not?
That's great. I read a quote 2 days ago where somebody asked Miles a question, and they had jazz in the question, and Miles was like, "What are you talking about jazz? What are you calling it jazz for? That's just something y'all name that I've been doing for a long time."
Yeah, he said that to me personally when we toured together. I told him one time, I said, "Man, I think I may have told you about that situation when Miles and BB toured. We toured Europe, but
yes,
Miles. I said to Miles, man, I don't play jazz. He said, I don't play jazz. I play Miles. That's what they call it. He said he played Miles.
Right.
It's like being sure of yourself in this business is a heavy angle to take, and if you're not strong enough, it could become a burden. But Miles is a great example. Hendrix is a great example. BB's a great example.
Yeah.
You talking? You brought up Tito Puente. You brought up Buddy Rich. These are people who said, "I'm doing this like this," and
Will
you don't like it. That's not my problem.
TC Coleman.
Yeah, well,
Carmen, you too.
And that's right, Carmen. Trying to follow in those footsteps. You were doing when you were doing your thing, Carmen. You and I had to talk about it, what you were doing, and I just said you got to do Carmen. You're not. Don't compare yourself to any Latin other artist and sing it. Let somebody else say it sounds like this, or they want to try to say it sounds like Sound Machine or whatever. That's not. Don't make that your problem. That's what they're hearing. You're doing something that you want to do, and if they want to say it sounds like that, you could just go, I hear you. You could bake an apple pie and somebody could say this tastes like blueberry pie. You can say, okay,
right. Exactly.
You know it's apple. So why you gonna argue with them? They're tasting blueberry, but you know it's apple. You made the damn pie. So if that's what they're tasting, then you let them say, well, you just enjoy it. Well,
right.
You know what you made, so there's nothing you have to say to anybody.
Exactly.
Well, like when I was playing with Jamie Johnson, you know, out there on the road with Jamie for 2.5 years, you know, the country artist.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamie is country as a chicken coop. And I was funky as a chicken coop. And it used to be funny, you know, like a lot of my some of my friends, not friends anymore, because they would say ridiculous stuff to me, like you know, why are you working with those folks, you know, with country? It's like, hey man, I was with BB King, Bobby Blue Bland, Albert King, Etta James, Buddy Guy. I played with everybody in the blues business, you know, and when BB died, you know, when it was over with that, not one blues person called me for a gig, and Willie Nelson introduced me to Jamie Johnson, and I gave him my number, and I was just messing with Jamie. I said, hey man, if you ever need a drummer, give me a call. And he said, well, give me your number. And I gave it to him, and then 2 days later he called me and said, I need a drummer. I said, well, Jamie, I don't know you, I don't know your music, but when are you leaving? He said, we're leaving tomorrow night. So he said, I'll give you my bass player's number. Anyway, I did the gig and I sucked. But the people didn't really know.
But you did it.
But I did the gig, but I was like playing it like. And I told Jamie, I said, Jamie, you know, you need to get a country drummer because you pulling rabbits out of the hat that I don't recognize. Jamie said, well, I guess you're right. You do look like you're trying to solve a math project. And then he said, hey, Tony Coleman, why don't you play percussion? I like you in the band. I like your spirit. Why don't you play percussion? And I was like, percussion? It's gonna be like country Santana or something. What the hell? Bro? Then I was up there, but the thing what I want to say is that, man, it was a lot of people that weren't accustomed to seeing guys like me. And I made friends with a lot of people out there. And I still have them on social media. What I'm trying to say is music. If you're playing music, people don't see none of that stuff, man. Music always reach people hearts. You reach their soul, their hearts. We make people, like BB said, you're there for the people to make them happy, you know. And Jamie would say to me, Tony Coleman, you're always happy, aren't you? I said, well, yeah. Why am I going to be on stage if I'm not going to be happy? Hell, you damn right. I'm happy, you know? So that's what we are doing as artists. And that's how people got to remember if they're going to be successful in anything. You got to enjoy it. Do it because you love it. Do it because it's what you feel in your heart and soul. And that's it. We don't work for the money. We don't work for nothing except to play. We work to play. Well,
there you have it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Coleman.
And it's the Tony Coleman Show. No, and I don't mind. But we're almost at an hour and a half, and I don't think that people have left, so they're enjoying this. And I just want to say, I'm so happy that I am getting to share this with all of you because this is my life. So you're getting like this backstage. This is our hang. This is what we do. These are the things that we talk about, you know, and I'm really happy that both of two of my favorite people on the whole planet are here. And it's just like, this is way too fun. But I also want to be respectful of your time, TC, and I want to be respectful of your time, Will. But, you know, we can hang as long as you want.
Well, I wanted to come on and say hi to both of you, two fabulous people. The last time we hung, and I'm going to put it out there, was backstage at the Rolling Stone show.
Yeah,
and we had so much fun hanging out back there with you two, and then Bernard and Daryl and everybody. And it was a good hang. So I was so happy to see. I mean, Carmen and I were talking a little bit earlier about where we're going to meet, outside, inside, whatever. You know how sometimes those things happen before the gig, but we all were backstage and we all did a nice post-show hang. At the hotel, and that was the last time. We always kind of talk to each other from time to time. So when Carmen called me and said, you gotta jump on this interview with Tony, I said, come on now, I gotta both of y'all are my hanging and eating buddies.
I know.
Whenever I get together with y'all two, there's gonna be a killing meal in there somewhere before the sunrise.
At least one.
Yeah, it is.
So I know. And Carmen's into the. Have you ever tried the Carmen's always got the new fresh ideas. Well, are you hip to the so and so ice cream? No, Carmen, I'm not. But let's go check
Ooh,
it
I
out.
got a new one. I got a new one for you.
You see, there we go.
It's,
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, what's it called now? It's bourbon and cornflakes.
Bourbon, real bourbon.
So good.
That's
It's called.
the name of the restaurant, or is that?
Yeah, no. It's the ice cream. It's the actual ice cream. I think it's It's called Secret. It's called Secret Breakfast by Humphrey Slocum. So next time you guys are in town, oh my God, it's bourbon and cornflakes. It's so good.
That sounds pretty ghetto, but I'll try it.
No, I know. I was like,
you know you're gonna like it. I already know it's gonna be good.
Yeah, you will.
It sounds great. But look, Tony, man, you gotta get your book piece together, because you're a really important part of history. I think R&B and blues and rock and funk history, and you got a lot of information and a lot of stories that people aren't aware of, and there's a lot of dots you could connect with people who suffer from amnesia, and you know what I mean when I say that.
Oh yeah,
and people that want to kind of avoid the reality of what goes on in this business as artists. But man, you got to get that information out, because people, you're well respected, in my opinion, and your talent is large, but I think you're misunderstood by people too, in terms of what you really know.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that we're in the age of too much information, quick, fast, in a hurry, and almost zero substance. So I'm just tossing you brother to brother idea. You got it on whatever level you're gonna do it.
Well, I want to
make a book, or you're gonna do a rap album, whatever you're gonna do, whatever you're gonna make. People need to hear that message.
Well, I just want to thank you guys. I love y'all, but I want to thank you for that conversation you and I had, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I can't tell y'all what it was out there, but thank you, because I'll tell you about him, Carmen. He was my shaman.
Right. Of course. Well, it's always magical. It's always magic when we all get together, and I think
he was my young lion, BB King. He had to pull me in.
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, we all do it with each other anyway. The three of us, you got to bounce things off of people, because sometimes you think you're tripping, and somebody who loves and respects you is not going to pull the wool over your eyes. So if I've called both of y'all on and talked to both of y'all about things that I'm not afraid to say I wasn't sure about. I had to say, am I tripping on? Is it me? Is it? Am I hearing this way? Is it a ballad or is it a heavy metal song? I'm confused right now. And you got to balance it off. So Tony, Carmen, y'all have done that for me. So Tony, it's my pleasure.
Yeah,
anytime.
thank
you. And it keeps us all humble and balanced. And sometimes you're right, and your friend just got to tell you, well, Carmen, I think there's nothing wrong with I think you're spot on. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it too. So I have to say, my pleasure.
And this is the whole thing about mentoring and having a community and coaching. Like I feel like I have the best mentors and the best coaches. And I've said this all along. I was really lucky and really blessed when I decided to go recontinue my path in music. I learned a new word from TC today. I was saying get back to music, and he said, no, you're recontinuing. But I was so lucky.
You should write a song called Recontinuing.
I know, right? Trust me, the wheels are spinning. But I was so lucky in that when I decided in my 30s, which we all know is kind of like, woo, she's old, to go and sing and do my own thing, because I did realize early on that I wasn't going to be a backup singer. And I didn't know where I got the confidence. It was just sort of planted in there by my mom. But I sucked it. I am the worst backup singer, because my head starts thinking about, well, no, you should be doing this. And then,
but you're the best upfront singers.
Thank you. And, I was told, stop, this isn't your project. And then I thought, yeah, they're right. And I quit. I quit that band because I was making them miserable. I was unhappy. And anyway, but my whole point was that I was so lucky with having so many people that say exactly, the things that you're saying, and coached me and said, hey, if you want to be in the music business, but your feelings are getting all hurt because somebody had this X opinion about you, then maybe you shouldn't do this. And I thought, well, I'm not going to let someone else stop me from doing what I want to do or what I love. And so, yeah, I mean, I for everyone that's still here, and I see that everyone still is, so thank you. But these aren't just music and artist tools and words. They apply to everything that we do in life that we love or that we want to achieve. So I'm so grateful that I have both of you in my life, and I just can't wait to see you in person again. But this is a great second way to do it.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's always a pleasure, Carmen, and you're always very eloquent and respectful and real. I like that. I mean,
real.
It's beautiful and nice and everything as you are. You definitely don't mind, red light. Hello. Which is I think that's very classy too.
You too, Will. I mean, you. Hey, man, thank you for inspiring. Because we've been losing people. So hey,
there you go. There you go.
Let's be happy and thankful.
Yes. So anytime, and at some point, the three of us got to be on the same recording. I don't know. I'll let Tony figure that out.
Okay.
Problem. Nope. I got it. I got it.
All right.
I got it.
You just said magic words, Will.
I got it. I got it.
Now the pressure's on. Now I'm starting to sweat.
Hey, Will.
So
listen, I'm going to be tracking my next stuff. I need you to play. I talked to you about playing drums together, right?
No problem, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, I got old Steve Ferroni. He said he'll do it. So I got a lot of other guys. So.
I love Ferroni, man. No
Ferroni, yeah, man.
No problem. So
all right, I'll bring the bourbon.
Okay.
No, bring that
or the bubbly.
But you still got to sing.
That's right.
All right.
You still got to sing. So, thank you, Carmen.
Thank you. This was so fun.
Thank you, Tony, my brother. Yeah. I gotta talk to you about something else that we talked about before that call as well. When we get off, I hit you another time.
Okay.
But and Carmen, great show, and everybody who's listening, I think it's very important to talk about being confident and strategizing in this time period. So. Lots of love.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you to Music City Hit Factory. I got a new sponsor, Will.
Yes.
So we're going to have, I think we're going to have many more of these, because in my head, I'm thinking next time we're going to have 4 of us. You know who I'm thinking about.
I know. I got to call him and mess with him.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. We beat the record, an hour and a half. We went into this whole wonderful, beautiful, magical world. Thank you for sharing it with us. I don't even want to let them go, but I do have another extraordinary person on next week. She is Linda Hales. She is a coach for women who are going to succeed. Let me say that again. A coach for women who are going to succeed, not who want to or think they want to, but for women who are going to succeed. And I'm really excited. The 28th, she's coming on next week. Thank you all for staying with us. Thank you for being engaged. I wish I could do all of these things at once, but I just had the best Tuesday night. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Take care.
See y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Arrivederci.
Bye, everyone.